I think I would take it back even one more step and
Please.
say that we should always be questioning whether we know that this regulatory setup is
Right.
the best way to solve this problem.
Right.
Because even if it is at a moment in time, as technology changes, that changes. And unfortunately, our regulatory process is very locked in and doesn't do well at letting go of things when technology solves the problem that originally regulation was put in place to solve. And we don't think that way. Like with AI right now, you've got, my favorite example is early in the rollout of some of these algorithmic technologies. So some companies developed a technology to help judges do bail.
Yeah.
So basically, it looked at all the data on people that had committed. So you could say, here I've got a Hispanic 19-year-old who lives here, who has this education level, who has this kind of work, that married, not married, all this demographic data about the person, and they committed this crime. And you could compare it to other very similar people in the whole database and say, this person is this likely not to show up for trial,
Right.
which is the main purpose of bail,
Right.
right? Which is to ensure that people show up for trial. And so it would give a empirical analysis of that probability to help the judge. Now, the judge is going to use his gut a lot too,
Right.
because he's talking to the person, right? But still, now he's got some hard facts to go with it. Well, a bunch of people on the left blew up about this because it turned out that there was some racial bias in this analysis because the data that it learned on
Right.
was created by judges making actual decisions, and there's some racial bias in the population of judges. And so they said, we have to ban this technology because it has this racial bias. And I kept raising the question of, how easy it is to change the algorithm to
Right.
solve that problem? Do you know how hard it is to change all the judges
Right.
to make them less racist?
Oh.
And yet we banned that technology. And so now we have the known racial problem of the judges. We gave up the chance to solve it through technology, which is just crazy.
It's
and yet we're doing
interesting.
that over and over.